Studio Cuts podcast with WRRV.
What's going on? It's Val with 92.7, 96.9 WRRV. Welcome to the Studio Cuts podcast. I know it's been a little while since we've been together, but we're really excited for this interview. I had the chance to chat with Sam of Welshly Arms. Get this, getting ready, actually in the car on the way to their first post-COVID live show. So it's been a while since they've been in front of a live audience. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the new single and upcoming new music in the new year. It's Sam from Welshly Arms on the Studio Cuts podcast. Hi, Sam. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Where are you? Are you in Chicago right now, or are you in Cleveland?
So, yeah, we're headed to Chicago, about an hour outside right now. We play there tonight.
Okay. I think I saw that. I was checking out your Instagram and all your Facebook posts, and it seems like your fans are very excited for this show tonight.
I hope so. We sure are. It's been almost 2 years now since we played live.
Wait, is this your very first show back?
It is.
This is it. Okay.
This is it.
So on my list of questions was, what's it like to come back after so long? So I guess we'll start with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little scary. Last night, I had a hard time sleeping, kind of just thinking of, how different it's going to be being back on stage after so long. But mostly exciting. And I know, the whole band is excited to just do this again. It almost feels surreal right now that we're headed to a gig because it has been so long. And then next weekend, we do our hometown show. We kind of have a long-standing tradition of playing Thanksgiving weekend at home in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yep. How many years have you been doing that hometown show Thanksgiving weekend?
I think probably about 5.
Okay. It's tradition.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I'd have to kind of think about that for a minute, but it feels like about 5 years.
So do you feel like you guys prepared differently? Obviously this is not the first show you've ever performed, but after a 2-year gap, was there anything that you were like, man, we have to remember or relearn how to do this?
For sure. Actually, some of the ones that you'd think would be like the easiest to kind of come back were tough because you sort of just remember things a little differently. I mean, there wasn't really a reason to be practicing. We were creating new music that whole time, but we weren't like performing these songs. So it was weird because we've never gotten ready for a show after a long break. It's, maybe a month or so. It would be like considered a long break before all this happened. And so, yeah, it was definitely different getting ready for this show.
And I imagine, I went to my first show back in September, like after like a 1.5 year hiatus. And it was just to be there with all those people, like complete strangers. You're like, man, we're in this together. Like the passion and the people just like coming out together and like holding one another of like, this is just to be back in the presence of life. Yeah. It means so much to people.
Yes. Yeah. And I think our souls need it, For
sure. 100%. I know I read you guys were supposed to be playing the Rock Boat, but you had a positive COVID diagnosis. So how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good now. The weirdest thing is I still am like lacking a little bit of my sense of smell and taste. So coffee and beer are my 2 favorite flavors. Okay. I can't really enjoy right now. And that's kind of tough, but it's like getting a little better each day on that. And then I haven't had other symptoms now for a week. That came and went pretty fast. I had like one kind of rough fevery night. And other than that, it really wasn't too much, but I, have 2 shots of the vaccine and it was a breakthrough case. And so I'm thankful I had the vaccine because I do think it really lessened the thing. And before I knew that I had it, we were doing some rehearsals and we were in a big space and we were playing it pretty safe. And everybody else was also vaccinated, but it didn't spread in our rehearsal. So I think that's, something to be said for the vaccine.
It's so wild. This whole thing is just so wild. You play it safe. You could play it as safe as possible, but something happens and we still
no, that's totally it. That was the first time that I had gotten it, almost 2 years of avoiding it, and we are just trying to get back to some normalcy and go and do some shows, and then all of a sudden that happens, and it's like, geez, all that work for being safe for 2 years, and you just try to do one thing. And
I know it feels like everybody's getting their turn now. As sad as that sounds, it's like, all right, I could check it off my list. Like I got it done. Moving on.
Yeah, and I hope it is kind of like that in a way. Like it's just like, it's just something that we do have better ways of dealing with, and people stop getting super sick from it. But I don't know that it's going away.
No. Sadly, right?
Yeah.
It was a weird time to be, and it still is a weird time to be in the music industry. Your end, our end.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know. And everybody's suffering. And the funny thing about music is people don't think about it as an industry or jobs, but it's a lot of jobs. Every band has, members of the band and crew and all that. And when you can't go and play these shows, all those people are suffering. And then all the venue staff,
exactly.
Obviously radio and other record label staff, and a lot of behind the scenes people that just, we had a lot of shifts in our team because of that.
Right.
So it's tough. It's been real tough on our industry.
But you took that time to work on new music.
We did.
I know you recorded one song completely virtually. Is that true, or multiple? We did have to do it that way. When it was one of our early releases during COVID, we had to finish up all remotely, and people like sent in, parts and stuff. But we were able to find ways to work together for the last year or so. Okay.
And so we didn't have to do that, thankfully, too much.
Okay.
We were able to get into the studio, but it was still a little different. It wasn't always like, what you kind of picture a band doing, like all getting in one room at the same time and kind of working out parts. It had to kind of be a little more part by part, sort of piecemeal together. But it did work.
Yeah, I mean,
and we've made a lot of music, and we just put out our latest single, "Are You Lonely?"
Yes, I want to talk about that. We're featuring this Sunday on our new music show.
Wonderful.
So this interview will go hand in hand with that. Cool sound. Like when we got to hear it, I was like, this is a cool sound, like heads going, foot's tapping. And then I read an article, I think it was a local to you guys in Cleveland paper, that called it a rock anthem.
Oh, okay.
So like, how does that make you feel when you hear one of your songs referred to, a song that's not even a month old yet, as a rock anthem?
Right. Yeah, that's, I like it. I like hearing that. Because to me, that is kind of, it feels more anthemic to me. And it feels kind of like it's sort of a step back into the kind of music that we all were making when we started our bands, like in high school. And Mikey, the drummer, and myself had a band in like the high school ages. And I feel like that song could have been like one of our songs back then, and that's sort of fun. And even thematically, it's a little bit about like, where did the time go kind of. And so I don't know. It just kind of feels good. It's now tonight I'll know if it actually feels good on stage, but in rehearsal, it felt really good to be playing it together with the band.
I like the idea of, thinking about like friendships that you had that were once so easy, and like, where did it go and what happened? I feel like a lot of the songs lately have been so reflective as bands are writing these songs during COVID, not together with, like you mentioned, like recording separately, doing all these things, but I feel like so many of us are thinking those, like, you know, during these times, how did we lose those friendships, and what happened to those people, and why don't we talk like we used to? So it's a thinker.
That's exactly, but like on an easy level, I feel like, at least that's what I was going for. Yeah.
Yes. What was I going to ask you? So what, with that release at the end of October, and the couple of songs that you put out post-COVID, what's on the docket next?
Well, we've got, so like I was saying, we kind of didn't stop. We just kept making a lot of music. So we have a lot to choose from when we go to put this album together. And we're hoping like early 2022. So
great.
Maybe not too far, maybe just a few months out in the future, we put a full record out. That's our hope. The reason we haven't yet is because of the uncertainty of touring and things like that. It just didn't feel right to us to put out an album and not be able to go play all the songs and do all that. So we've just been kind of like sprinkling songs out because we still wanted some connection to everybody, some connection to our audience. And so it was important to put something out, but it didn't feel right to do a whole record until we knew, like, all right, we're coming to see everybody.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think so too. So we'll, like I said, I know we've got a tour planned for the fall for Europe, and then we're looking into trying to hit the States as well. Awesome. But we'll definitely be going to Europe this fall, and we'll get to play.
I noticed that you confirmed the Rock Boat for 2023, and there's some cool acts on that.
Yeah, it's a cool lineup. Some of them are old friends.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I saw Magic Giant was on there, who are some of our favorite people. They have come through our area in Poughkeepsie so many times. Such nice guys. We'll do anything for you. We're like, again, you'll come again? Okay. Is there anybody that you play with, or that is on your list, like, we must tour with this particular band or artist?
That's an awesome question. Speaking on the Rock Boat, there's a band called Need to Breathe that was our very first tour. We went and opened for them. Okay. And it was a long tour too. It was like a 3-month tour with them. And so that kind of was like where we learned the touring ropes, I guess. And they're on that too. So that'll be really fun. But wow, that's an awesome question, because there's so many bands that we dig, and being a 6-person band, it's like we all have different favorites and things. But man, I've been digging. I was just listening to Bahamas before I jumped on the call with you, and like something like that would be great to just hear every night. So I'll just throw that one out there.
Okay, fair. And I guess I'll wrap up with something we've been asking as we've been doing a lot of these virtual interviews, is if we're coming to your hometown next weekend to see you guys play Thanksgiving weekend, what's the one thing you guys collectively would tell us you've got to check out while you're in the area?
Good question. Well, sports. So if there's a Browns game, that's something to be seen. And honestly, if you can't go to the game, that's okay, but you got to check out the tailgate party. Okay. We have like an epic tailgate every Browns home game. And it's down.
Whether you go or not.
Yeah, just go to the tailgate. That's all. Because you probably won't even make it to the game if you've really done it right.
That's awesome.
And then it's always kind of, I feel like a broken record, no pun intended, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is really worth going to. I think that one's kind of obvious, but it is totally worth checking out, and you kind of can't take it all in one visit. So then you have to come again and get some more. But there's amazing things in there that just give you, if you're a music fan, just give you like absolute chills. Even if you're not a classic rock fan, because I think a lot of people probably think it's like, you got to be into like the Stones and
Right.
Led Zeppelin or something too. But even if you didn't get into earlier classic, what we call like classic rock, there's great pop things in there, like even Beyonce stuff, and there's just some really amazing memorabilia to check out and a lot to learn.
I remember my parents, side note, taking us there when we were little, my sister and I, driving from New York, and we were like to a museum, and then we were like, whoa, big music fans growing up. Obviously I've been since, but you don't realize what you'll walk out of there learning. Yeah.
And like being right next to like handwritten lyrics of some of your favorite songs, or it's kind of amazing. On the guitars that your heroes,
yes,
that you've seen them play, in photos and pictures and videos and all that. So it's kind of amazing.
For sure. Well, thank you so much. You were so easy to talk to.
Oh, you were as well. Thank you. This is great. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time too, and for playing our song.
No problem. We're excited to get it on, and good luck with your show tonight. I hope.
Thank you so much.
I hope the fans are receptive to the new music, and I'm sure it'll feel great to get back out there.
I think so. Yeah, we can't wait. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
Take care.
All right, you too.
Bye. I am so lucky. This is the coolest job ever. Chatting with Sam of Welshly Arms about the new single, Are You Lonely? Big things happening for those guys in 2022. That's it. A wrap for another edition of the WRV Studio Cuts podcast. Don't forget to listen to our new music show called Sunday Studio Cuts every Sunday night from 10 until 11 p.m. on the Hudson Valley's Alternative 92.7, 96.9 WRV. Bye.
The Studio Cuts Podcast with WRRV.